Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into this week's edition of the Bullring Breakdown. We have the race recap. This Saturday night was brought to you by the Addison Eagles Club and the New York State Stock Car Association. I also do want to throw a little shout out to Joe Trappler for sponsoring the Crate Sportsman King of the Bullring. And so, as we break down the action from this past Saturday night, I am joined with Terry Pierce. Terry, how are we doing today?
We're doing great, Joe. It's Monday and it's beautiful out. How can it get any better, right?
Yeah, I can see the anguish on your face when you said you're doing great.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, so I guess we really don't have anything to break down before the races. I mean, I think everything was great. There's a few people that I do want to thank for the bicycle giveaway. That went off great. First, I want to thank Jean Wilcox and Amanda Seeley. Jean Wilcox, I think she did just about everything that pretty much just setting everything up and doing all that stuff for it. I don't know if she really had much help. I know Amanda was there after the fact, so I do want to give them a shout out there and it went great. They made my job easy. I just had to read numbers. They'd come in and tell me what was right and who didn't pick theirs up. So I do want to give a shout out to them.
Yes, definitely. A lot of this stuff like this with the Woodhall fan wouldn't be possible without Jean. Jean's headed it up this year. She's done an awesome job. She works very hard at it. She doesn't never get the recognition that she deserves for it. Without her, it wouldn't even be we wouldn't be able to have this. She did a great job with the bicycle giveaway. I don't. Do you know how many bikes there was altogether?
I should have counted, but I think around 25,
Oh,
somewhere
really?
in
'Cause
that.
I thought it was more. I thought it was 35, but I could be
Oh,
wrong.
oh, well, I could be wrong. I got them right here if I wanted to.
Yeah, I
I
think it
got I
was.
got 24 pictures, but I know that's not all of them.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around in the 30s, I believe, somewhere
Okay.
between 30 and 35. Which that's awesome. That's
Hmm.
awesome. Some of the drivers stepped up and donated some bikes. The rest were all donated by Nikki and Terry Brewer. It's a great thing. The kids love it, and to see the smile on them kids' face when they were wheeling out of there with their bicycles the other night is priceless.
Yeah, and bear with me here because I am going to read everybody that donated because I want to give
Yeah,
them a shout out because you know what? At the end of the day, kids came to the racetrack and they went home really happy. So that, as fans of racing, that's probably the best that we could ask for. So, thank you to Scott McRae, who I think he was probably the MVP of the whole thing behind the Wilcoxes, and Nikki and Terry, of course. But Scott McRae, I know he asked all of his sponsors and he don't ended up donating a bunch of bikes. So Scott McRae, Brandon Conklin, Dayton Brewer, Wyatt White, Dan Gardner, Cody Byler, Stephen Knapp, Mike Palmer, Joe Birdsell, Southern Tier Customs, Joe Wilcox Performance Automatics, and Sharon Willis. That's the list I got, so if I missed one, I apologize.
I think it sounded to me like you got them all.
Alrighty. Um, all right, so I guess we're ready to hop into the heats unless you got anything else before we get started here.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, so late model, Southern Tier Custom late models, they were the first heat of the evening. Steve LeBaron, he picked up the win. Well, I guess we'll talk about that was it 29 car later because that's he's he he's got something coming up. So he picked up the heat race win for that. Insinger Performance Modifieds, Russell Morseman, Ron Cartwright, they picked up the heat races and the vintage cars. Joe August Jr. Won the modified division. Brent Williams won the heat for the sportsman division, and then Roger Williams won the heat for the vintage division, I think it is. So, and they're always cool to see. They're kind of neat, That's
They are,
that was before my time, so I don't really remember what they were like when everybody had one like that. So, it's neat to
right?
see them.
It is. There was a Barefoot Bob McCready replica out there, and there was
Yep.
also a Steve Payne replica car out there. So that was pretty cool to see them. Brings back
Mike
a lot of memories from the old days.
Mike McLaughlin too.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. 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 So the Steve Payne car, I do remember that one back in the day. I'm
Uh,
not. I'm old, but I'm not that old. I
well,
guess.
I'm gonna be honest. I remember that one, but only because I think his car now looks exactly the same.
You're
Just
right. It does.
the different body style, but the same
Yep.
the sponsors and everything look pretty much the same.
Yeah, he's kept the same, pretty much the same car through his whole career, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show you the sponsors that he's got.
Yep. Yep.
Good
Yep.
sponsor.
You don't see that very often anymore on a lot of these cars.
No, you don't. So then we got to the hometown excavation crate sportsman. Tim Guild, Adam Taft picked up the heat races win. And then the Joe Wilcox Performance Automatic Street Stocks, Teddy Morseman and Dan Gardner. Then the Lad Road Auto Hobby Stocks, Dylan Phillip and Brandon Conklin. And then the Wicked Tees Quad C, Kevin Bacon, Blake Snyder, and Wesley Hoteling. I'll just say pretty much, I, they're pretty much all the guys that, you know, they've all won heat races before. They'll all win heat races by the end of the year. But I do want to give a special shout out there to Kevin Bacon and the Quad Cs because I believe either if it's not his first night out, I believe it's the first night out with that car. So,
Uh-huh.
picking up a heat race win, that's pretty cool.
It is absolutely. I'm not 100% sure on what his stat was. I mean, I know the car's been there a couple of weeks, but he's had different drivers driving it. So,
Oh,
um,
okay.
yeah, I'm not sure if this was his first night out in it or not, to be honest with you.
I'll be honest, I don't remember a zero BS car.
Hmm.
And I felt like that was something that I might remember.
Right. Well, you know what? Maybe you're right. I do know that team has like three different cars.
Mm.
So maybe you're right. Maybe that was the first night out with that car. Yeah.
Um, anything else you got for the heats before we move into the features?
Yeah.
I
I
think
don't think so.
we got a couple of them before intermission, so
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a pretty uneventful heats. They were all, some good racing through there. And yeah, it was, I don't think we had a lot of cautions through the whole thing. So,
no. All right, so the first feature was the Wicked T Warriors. Um, and so Bradley Wise, well, I think he led pretty much the whole thing. Once in a while on a restart, somebody would give him a little bit of an challenge, but then he would be able to drive away pretty much by the time they got to the first corner. Um, that race was pretty, for the most part, pretty uneventful until about afterwards. Afterwards is when it kind of picked up the eventfulness of that. So,
right. It did. I can talk a little bit on this one, I guess. I want to bring up, okay. So, we had Isabel Morseman, who I believe it was with one lap to go, blew a motor in her car, right? It caught on fire. We ended up extricating her from the car, getting her out of the car, and yes, that's 2 weeks in a row for her, I guess, that they've had motor issues with that car. But then when we got to the finish line, I guess we had a little bit of conflict with the winner, Bradley Wise. Again, the kid drove a great race. Somebody protested it, and then when we went back in and looked, and it was indeed true that Bradley Wise was not eligible to be in the kids class. And I guess it's just one of those things that we overlooked. He was 16 years old, um, and we just assumed that he was good to go. It was his first time at Woodhall, and the rule states that you have to be 15 years old at the beginning of the race season to be eligible to be in the Warrior class. And if you turn 16 after the season starts, you could finish the year out, but it would be your last year. Well, he was 16 before the season started, which would make him not eligible, and he would have had ran in the adult class. So mistakes happen. When he came to the window, he's running in warrior classes at two different tracks. So I guess we just assumed that he was eligible. I guess that the other two tracks rules are a little different, and he was eligible.
can I
Uh,
interrupt you for 1 second?
yeah,
I'm
yes,
just going to read word for word because I know how this is going to go, and people will say 16, 16. So
yeah,
word for word from the rule book, I'm looking at it right now. Drivers may race until his or her 16th birthday and then finish the season in the Woodhall Warriors or move up to a different division. So that is you can as long as you're 15 at the beginning of the season, then you can stay it. So that's what the rule is worded word for word. So just to
Yep.
interrupt
Yep.
there. I wanted to get the actual wording because that's all I saw on Facebook was 1616, but according to our rule book, that's not the case. So,
Right. Right. Exactly. Now, again, I'd like to touch base on this is, we called Bradley Wise, and his father and his mother came down to the tower. We talked with him. We told him what happened and that he was going to be DQ'd from the win. Um, and they were excellent people. They were very, very, very good about it. They understood. They said they didn't realize it. It was a mix up with them too. They thought they were eligible. It wasn't like they came there, trying to pull a fast one over. They didn't. It was just a mix up with the rules between them, and it was a mix up with the rules between us. And they appreciated us letting him race. He had a great time. He said he wants to come back and maybe try the adult division. But they apologized. They were really great people about it, and that was the end of it. But then we somehow in a scoring loop, and of course, neither you nor I are in on the scoring loop. But the win was granted to Isabel Morseman, and so we went back today and just late this afternoon, I guess, and we got the ruling that came down that although Isabel had motor expired a lap before that and she was off the track, the second place car would have been Caden Thomas. It came down this afternoon that he was penalized. He was a lap down, but he was also penalized a lap for unsportsmanlike conduct after the race. So, with that being said, that moved him back, and that brought the win back to Isabel Morseman, who they had announced was the winner on Saturday night. And again, so this just coming in this afternoon, and I want to bring that up too a little bit. These people are quick to complain about penalties and that stuff being handed down. So it's not always handed down on Saturday night. I mean, you got to understand it's a very busy night around the racetrack, and a lot of times, Sundays are the only days that some of us get off throughout the week. So a lot of times this stuff isn't even reviewed. Some days it might be Monday or Tuesday before a penalty comes down, and I understand people are frustrated. People want to see the results right away, but it's not always cut and dry like that. It's not always that easy. We have to go through, we have to get everybody together so that everybody can talk about it and talk about what went on and review, maybe some videos. You never know. I mean, again, I'm not big on reviewing videos, but sometimes we do go through and look at them. But yeah, so that's kind of how that went. I mean, it is what it is, and we're going to move on to next week, and yeah, so
right.
that's pretty
So,
much all I got on that,
yeah.
Joe.
So, Bella Morseman, she picks up her third win of the season. Uh, Caden Thomas ended up finishing second, and Courtney Thomas third, as Bradley Wise was DQ'd. I guess that's pretty much that for the Warriors. A lot of it went on Facebook, so I think everybody kind of heard everybody's point of view already. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll just keep on moving on. Um, do you remember if we ran the vintage cars of the King of the Bull Ring next? For some reason,
Uh,
we ran the vintage cars before the before intermission, and it threw everything off for me.
yes, we did. And I'll tell you why. When we put the vintage car race together, we were having trouble because a lot of them vintage drivers traveled from so far away. So we were trying to get enough cars to actually put the race on. And with everybody having to drive so far, that was the deal. We said we would get them on before intermission so that they could get out of there and they could get home at a decent time. So that's what we
Well,
did. We
good
moved them
deal.
ahead. Yeah.
Well, good deal. So the vintage cars, they were the modified winner, Joe August Jr. The sportsman winner was Tom Church, and the vintage winner was Roger Williams. So that's I guess that I don't have they had nice plaques, or I
Yep.
guess they were trophies from the
Yeah, they were actual
classics
trophies.
on dirt. Uh,
Yep.
so that's cool, and like I said before, always neat to see them. I never got to see them when they race, so something from the past is pretty cool. And I think some of the older fans like to see that style of car again. And I actually know some older fans that would rather see that style of car than the ones we got now.
Oh yeah, right. And I'm sure, and I believe Joe, they're coming back again. Right? We don't we have them scheduled again?
We do, but you'd think I'd have the schedule pulled up. But if anybody knows me, I don't really plan that well. So maybe Maybe Terry's got a
Yeah, I'm trying to.
maybe
I think it is August 30th, I believe. Is what I think.
August 30th.
Yeah,
Is
I
that what
know they were on the schedule for August 16th, but I think they've canceled that show now. I believe
Okay.
that show's being canceled, so I think it's August 30th is when they're going to be back, I believe.
Yeah, I also have August 30th. So,
Yeah. Okay.
all right. So if you missed your chance to see the Blast from the Past Vintage Classics on Dirt, you'll have that chance again on August 30th. And then we had the King of the Bull Ring, sponsored by Trappler. I don't. Was it trucking or logging? I can't.
Trucking. It was
Trappler trucking. Okay. Um, and I don't know. The first round, I got a beef, but I don't know how many people want to hear it.
yeah.
I do. I do. And you know what? I'll say it because you know what?
Yeah,
I've seen
absolutely.
and you know what? Kenny can get mad at me if he wants, but I don't care. I don't think he will, but you never know. So if he does, I
Yeah.
don't care. I feel like I've seen him hit people just as hard as Kyle Leach hit him in the corners of 1 and 2, and I don't know if I agreed with that call, but at the end of the day, it's not my call to make in the first round. So.
You're right. Well,
But
I
I did want to throw that out there because I felt bad for him because he gave it everything he had, and you kind of personally, I think, Kenny's kind of the guy to beat, and sometimes you might have to,
yep.
run him up a little bit.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with you. And unfortunately, I'd like to shed a little light on that also. I mean, so I had a meeting with the flaggers before the race night started, and kind of the way I went over it with them was, listen, guys, I feel like in the King of the Rings, the last couple we've had, that we've gotten slack on some of these rules. We've been letting guys get away with a little more than probably what we should have. The last King of the Ring, there was a couple restarts that really looked pretty ugly, and we let them go. And I said, when we go out there tonight, I want you guys to clamp down on that King of the Ring, and I want you to, I want you to pay attention to it. And if somebody's jumping the start or anything like that, I want you to pull the reins in a little bit and be a little stricter on it. And when it happened that way right off the bat. So I guess I'm probably to blame for most of that there. But yeah, I kind of felt like, we need to pull the reins back in a little bit and let these guys know that they can't just get away with anything in this King of the Ring. I mean, I get it. It's all for fun. It's only a couple laps, it's 2 laps each time, but it is for $400, and that's a lot of money for some of these teams, and there's a lot of guys that would like to win it. So I kind of wanted to try to put it out there to be a little bit fair, and I guess it didn't work out exactly the way that I anticipated, but yeah.
Well, I'll,
So
I'll I'll say this too, and I think Kyle would agree with me here is that,
mhm.
you know, and I've said this a lot to a lot of drivers. Some weeks you're the bug, and other weeks you're the windshield.
Right,
One week you're going to get into somebody, and no one's going to see it. The next week you're not going to get into somebody, and somebody's going to say that you did. So,
right, yep,
you know,
no, absolutely.
that's the way it goes, racing wise. But I did want to throw my 2 cents in there because, you
Yeah,
know,
no, absolutely, absolutely, yep, no, I
um,
agree 100%.
Well, I guess, but I guess it really, in the end, I don't know if it really mattered much because in the second round, Kenny Peoples goes up against Tim Guild, and fun story here. When I was in the announcer's booth and I announced that that was the next matchup, Joe Wilcox was walking back, and he heard me announce it. He turned right around. He said, "Oh, I gotta watch this one." So if that doesn't show you the type of racing that you knew you were going to see with Kenny Peoples and Tim Guild side by side, I don't know what does because I think Joe's probably seen it all in on a dirt track, and for him to get that excited about a one-on-one matchup just goes to show you um, the type of show that them two could put on.
Oh, absolutely. And I really had a lot of interest in this whole one bull ring this week, just because if you look at the numbers in this Crate Sportsman class, there's a lot of drivers in there that, Kenny Peoples might be winning some of these races and Tim Guild, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of guys in the top 6, 7 that are turning some pretty awesome lap times. They're just, maybe the consistency's a little off, but man, I was really looking forward to this race because I was like, there's anybody in the top 6, 8 probably could take this thing. You know what I mean? They could throw a couple laps together and be just as fast as Kenny Peoples or Tim Guild. And yeah, it was exciting. That's for sure.
Right. So Tim Guild, he ended up facing off against Glenn Trowbridge in the finals. I would say good run for Glenn there, making it to the finals. And so Tim Guild won the heat race earlier in the night. Continued his good run of the evening. So good for Tim. And
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. He got out of the car and he said, "This is the first time I've ever won this thing." And
right, right.
I just had a heart. Well, I got to believe the guy, but I had a tough time believing that Tim Guild hasn't won one of them yet. So,
Right, right, for sure. And I'll tell you, the whole thing with Glenn Trowbridge. Look at this guy here. You know, what is he? Is this his third year in or fourth year in, maybe? He won a heat race a couple of weeks ago and now made it to the final round here. I mean, they're really turning that program around too. That car's looking faster and faster every week.
absolutely. All right. So, once again, that's sponsored by Trappler Trucking. I do want to give Joe a little shout out there because that's a cool deal. Um, anything else you got for intermission? I don't.
I
We
don't
might
believe
have put a
so.
little bit water down on the track, but I don't know. The track is great. So,
It
um,
was, I would like to say something about the track. I'll tell you, after the whole night of racing was over, we were done, and I think it was right about midnight when we finished up. I walked across that track, and my shoes were still sticking to
mhm,
the track. There was still a lot of bite left in that track. I mean, that's awesome after a full
yeah.
night of racing.
Yep.
So,
Um, uh, I guess we can just move on to the features now. Um, so Southern Tier Customs Rush Crate Late models, they were the first feature out, and I I've pretty much got two things written down here, and it just says LeBaron Clinic. Because and you didn't see this race, did you?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't. I missed it. I was up working on something else in the pits, and I
Well,
never had.
I can tell you right now that Steve LeBaron just whooped the field.
Right.
I don't know how else to say it. I trying to be nice to the other guys, but sometimes when you're on, and Steve LeBaron was on, that car was hooked up, rocket ship, and I mean, he just put a whooping on the field.
Right.
The caution came out at lap 17, but I mean, that car was just so good. Nobody had anything for him. I think before the caution came out on lap 17, he had almost a uh, half a track lead on the rest of the field. I
Mm.
I mean, he was dominant.
Right now, I will say after I got done and I was headed back over, I checked out my race pass and I was really surprised when I opened it up and then looked and I seen that Marshall O'Brien finished second and Ricky Laux third. I mean, that's impressive runs for both of those guys too. So, like I said, I didn't see it, but looking at the results, man, it's great to see them guys up there. It's well deserved for them too.
Absolutely, yeah. So Steve LeBaron picked up the win. Marshall O'Brien second, third was Ricky Laux, fourth was Brett Marlatt, and fifth was Jacob Wilbur. Nice to have Jacob Wilbur back with us. But like you were saying with Marshall O'Brien and Ricky Laux, really good runs for a couple of guys that are sometimes they have I don't know how to put this. Sometimes they have tough nights, and
Yep, absolutely.
it's good to see them running the top three. I picked on Marshall so because the New York State Stock Car Association was with us, so they paid a little bit of extra cash to the top two NISCA members, and so
Yep,
Marshall O'Brien he came down on the front stretch and. I think this guy for the first I think for the first time in his career, this is only what his second year in a late model, so
right.
he's probably only got a year and a half into him under his belt. And for the first time, I think he put together 19 and three quarters perfect laps.
Right.
And the one lap, I thought for sure he was going to spin out coming out of turn number four, but he got, I don't know, I'm guessing he just got off the gas, corrected it, and then he kept on going. So just a good run for him. I never looked up and said, "What's he doing?"
Right, right. Yep.
And for young kids, sometimes you say that. So,
Yeah, right, right. And again, like you said with that Jacob Wilbur, it was great to see him come back, and he looked pretty strong too for a
mhm.
guy. I think it's only his second time ever at Woodall. So,
Yeah, I think it's
so
his third or fourth, but yeah. So
as always, okay,
yeah,
yep. But he looked very good there, and I know I talked to him a little bit. And he just absolutely loves the place. They love to come, but I guess it's like a 4 hour drive for them to get here, for their car to get here. So,
oh, is it?
yeah, yep. So it's like
Yeah.
a two and a half hour drive for him to get here, but his car owner lives like 4 hours away. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, yeah, it's good to see him here. I like seeing him here. I like seeing all them guys. Actually, I like seeing every car in the pit show up. So
Yeah, right, absolutely.
if it were up to me, we'd be up there all night because we got to run B mains for everything.
Yeah, that would be great.
So then Insinger Performance Modifieds and probably one of the only times that I've ever gotten teary-eyed in Victory Lane. I'm not gonna lie to you. So the front row for, well, what do we got all messed up here? So the front row here, Greg Crooker started on the pole. Aiden Grover started in second. And I told Aiden Grover he ended up winning. He held off Jake Ginn. And I told him in Victory Lane that last week him and Dayton Brewer put on a heck of a show and he finished one spot short. This week, him and Jake Ginn put on a heck of a show and he got it done.
Yep.
And that's really nice to see the Bill Dominic owned team. Um, he for my money, he's one of the nicest kids to talk to in the pit area. He's always respectful of your time. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about him, to my
Right.
knowledge
Absolutely.
anyway. And so it's nice to see somebody like that get his first ever win.
It is absolutely, and I believe it was right on this show just a couple of weeks ago that I told you we were going to see this happen very
Hmm.
shortly, and it did. He's been running great all year. He's been running consistent laps. He just needed just a little bit of good luck and a good starting spot, and that's exactly what he had the other night. And yeah, I don't think he missed a beat the whole race. I mean, he hit his marks every single time. So eh,
I think he missed it one time in corner four coming out of on that last lap, and I thought Jake Ginn had a run, and Jake came up just short. So,
yeah,
um,
what and I was going to say that it's probably a good thing that he didn't miss his mark because if he had, Jake was all over him.
yes,
Jake
he
was there at
was.
the end. Yep,
Yeah, and you know he wants to win because that whole team's a team that needs luck.
yep,
It's a good run for Jake Ginn, and I know his teammate Stacy Jackson out of the Kim and Brad Harrington camp. They've had I think Stacy won the first weekend, and since then he's had
right.
nothing but miserable luck. So that's
Yeah,
a
I
whole
think.
team that needed a good run. Um,
Yep,
so
I think
Ron
they've
Cartwright
gone through a
Jr.
couple
He
motors.
what was that?
I said I think they've gone through a couple motors already over there
Hmm.
too, and yeah,
Yeah.
that hurts when that starts happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Ron Cartwright Jr., he finishes third, Carter Crooker in fourth, and Brady Foltz finishes in fifth. Um, I guess anything to touch on that top five.
Yeah,
Ron Cartwright continues his good run of I think he showed up a few weeks late. I don't think I don't know what if his plans were to run Woodhall weekly all year, but the way he's been running, I think he almost had no choice. So it's
right.
nice to see
Yeah,
him back with us.
yep, he's
Um,
been running very well. But
yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Brian Doolittle. So here's a
Oh
guy
yeah.
that comes
Yep.
out. He comes out in his heat and actually did something to the motor. The motor broke into it anyway.
Camshaft.
Camshaft. So okay, so and that's tough for his team. He's a kind of a low budget team, and that kind of hurt him. But he's right up there in points. So he goes to the pits and he goes down and sees the 27Z.
Ray Bliss.
That's right, Ray Bliss. Okay, and Ray Bliss, I don't know how many times he's been at Woodhall this year. Maybe this might have been a second. Maybe I'm thinking.
I think it's his second, but I think the first time he had a sportsman.
Okay, that could be. Okay. So he shows up with a modified to race and he decides to turn the wheel over and let Brian Doolittle borrow his car so that Brian could race and keep his points going. That's an awesome thing for a guy to do, and Ray Bliss is a great guy. It was awesome to see him loan his car out like that to Brian Doolittle, and I'm sure Brian appreciated it. Brian's the kind of guy that I'm guaranteed that he's probably still thanking Ray today for it. So it was good to see that happen. It was good to see some teams come together like that. And yeah, it's always nice.
Yeah,
So
I always enjoy seeing that too, because just the sportsmanship that shows, because you come there to race. These guys load up their car, they work on it all week, they want to race, but then at the end of the day, Ray's kind of coming just for fun. He's not really racing for nothing. He's just kind of, showing up on a
right.
Saturday for fun. And the sportsmanship it shows to say, hey, yeah, you can take out my car. I trust you enough to drive it. And then two,
Mm-hmm.
you're in the points battle and I'm not. The sportsmanship there is just, I,
It
I,
is
I like seeing things like that because not all the time are people like that.
right,
Ray could have easily just have said, no, I came here to race. I want to race. Your problems aren't my problems. And
right,
I don't know if anybody would have thought any worse of him for it. That's
right.
what he wants to do. So, just great sportsmanship there.
It is absolutely. Yep.
Oh, and I do want to say too, it was nice to see Shannon Whaley back with us. I know
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
he
But
I don't know, usually once or twice a year he kind of pops up. So it's nice to
mhm,
have him with us.
you're right. And he's a guy that always runs well when he comes to Woodall. Normally, he runs
Hmm.
well, so yeah, it's always great to have him back.
Yep. So then the next feature event was the Hometown Excavation Crate Sportsman. Tim Guild started in the pole position, and well, I got nothing but this here. Tim Guild led early on, and then Kenny Peoples Jr. started sixth, drove up to second, and I thought those two were going to put on a race of the year contender. And I talked to Kenny today, and he said he's still mad at himself, but so I'm gonna have to tell him. I'm gonna have to say it, Kenny. I'm sorry, but Kenny clipped the Uke tire in turn one, and that broke the 5K. So that ended his night, and it happens. I I
It did.
I I know we talk about how great Kenny is all the time, but yeah, I it happens. That,
Yep,
and
absolutely does.
I know he's gonna kick himself and kick himself, but I don't know. Like, it,
Right. I got to his car. I went to his car to check on him, and yeah, at first he started complaining that why do we have to have U tires out here? Why do we? Then he was like, "Well, it's my fault. It was my fault." And then he's like, "I hate U tires. I hate it." Then he's like, "It's my fault. It's my fault." So he was beating himself up pretty good about it in the car. So
well,
yeah,
you know what I say that is that's Kenny being super frustrated and needing something to yell about.
yep, right, absolutely, yep,
That isn't just cussing himself out.
yep, absolutely,
So
yep.
then there's a caution on lap 23, caution on lap 24, but Tim Guild at that point had he'd been the kind of the guy to beat there. And I do want to mention that on lap 11 we had a red flag go off. Adam Taft had a gearbox break in him, and it hit him in the leg. And I talked to him a little bit today, and he said that he's doing all right, a little sore, but nothing's broken except for his pride. And I said you'll heal that. So
All right. Yep, for sure. Yeah, that could be pretty dangerous when you're down in that cockpit. And then actually, I think it was a steering box. I believe. I think it was that broke.
oh, okay, I don't I
Yeah, I think it was a steering box, but they're right there in front of them, and yeah, when them things explode like that, same thing. It could be very dangerous for the driver inside. And I guess it caught his legs, pretty good. So yeah, we took him to the ambulance, had him checked out, and yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that he's healing and getting better.
Yeah, that's I always say that it's supposed to be fun, so nobody wants to go home hurt, that's
Yep.
yeah, so Tim Guild picked up the win. Quentin Buchanan finished second. That would be the announcer's drive of the night. You don't win anything but a pat on the back next week. So Quentin Buchanan from ninth place to second, he picked up the drive of the week. And Kyle Leach finished third. Good run for Kyle. That's his best finish. I thought he was going to come in second, but that last lap restart kind of uh, screwed him up. So he ended up finishing third, but still, best finish that he had. And Brandon Morrisman, he finished fourth, which is a really good rebound for him because he started
Yep.
second, ended up, well, connecting with the front stretch wall. And then I mean, then he went off the back stretch and it was a whole fiasco there with a side by side, a whole bunch of other stuff. So,
It did. So yeah, so he ended up he went over the backstretch and ended up on the lower road. That you can take the lower road right around and it brings you around and you can come right out into turn four. Well, the side by side was following Brandon so that he could shine his headlights so that Brandon could see. And for some reason, Brandon stopped, put it reverse, and started to back up, and the side by side had nowhere to go. So he ended up moving to the right to try to avoid it. And when he did, he put it down over the bank. And when I got to it, the side by side was pretty much standing on its nose down over the bank. And luckily, we were able to get a chain hooked on him and get it put back on its wheels and get him up out of there. So yeah, it was a little scary moment for the side by side, I guess.
yeah. And then Colton Coots finished in fifth, which I should have asked Adam before we did this, but I forgot. But I'd have to believe that's his best finish of his career. I
Right?
I think it's his first year in a sportsman, so I just going out on a limb, I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's probably
Yeah.
his
I
first top five.
I would believe that. So again, go back and look at that. The top five right there. Three of them was their best finish of the year, right?
Mhm.
Or their career. That's awesome. That just goes to show that, like I said, it just goes to show the level that is in that class right now.
Right. And I do want to mention, good job for Scott McRae. That thing stayed together for him. So
Yeah,
he actually got to run the 25 laps. And we laugh, and you might look at the results, and he finished ninth. But you know what? He's had miserable luck with that thing not staying together for him. So
yes.
I imagine that he's at least got to just be happy to go show up at a racetrack and run all 25 laps.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It was good. He's like again, that's his rookie year in this class, and
Mhm.
he struggled all year with it. Yeah, so it was good to see him to to at least finish a race. So hopefully now he's on the right track and he could just keep improving from here.
Right now you can work on moving up the finish, not
Right.
worry about everything staying together. So,
Yep.
uh, and then we can move on to the Joe Wilcox Performance Automatic Street Stocks. Um, Glenn Glenn Reitner started on the pole, so I hate to say it, but I'm guessing most people know how that would end up.
Yep.
He started on the pole. There's cautions lap one and two, uh, cautions lap 11, lap 17, but I don't know. It seems whenever that 15 car unloads that I mean, I hate to say it, but you're almost battling for second. I think he showed up four times and he's won three of them, and the only one he didn't win, he didn't go out for the feature. So,
Right. Yep. But I mean, there was some good race and all back to
absolutely.
the field. Three, third, fourth, and fifth. There was a good battle between them,
Hmm.
for most of the race. So, yeah,
Yeah, Mike Spencer, he finished second, Dan Gardner third, fourth was Chris Woodard, and fifth was Bradley Morseman. And I do want to mention too for Bradley Morseman, I can't remember exactly what happened, but he started 11th, and then coming out of turn two on that first lap, I think he went to shoot the middle, and they pinched him, and he
hmm
hit the brakes, and he lost a lot of ground. So he was able to recover from that, and not only drive from 11th to fifth, but recover from that too. So. Good run there for Bradley. And Willie Easling. You know what? It's good to see Willie. Oh,
yeah. Willie was back. Yep,
I like Willie. He's a good kid too, and I like to see him back. So, and Chris Woodard. I know Chris Woodard's probably I talk to him and kind of every other weekend they're looking at, and you
yep,
know, I think it's kind of pick and choose between the street stock and the four cylinder. He can't run weekly, so I think it's probably
yep.
just whatever he feels like doing or whatever's still in one piece from the night before.
Right, right. Yep. No, absolutely. And I seen we had a DNF from Mike Williams, and I don't remember what happened to him. Do you remember?
I don't.
I know I talked with him earlier in the week, and he had put a whole new shock package in his car. So he was kind of anxious to see how it was going to work, and then I kind of missed it. I'm not sure exactly what happened to him,
Yeah, not now. I might have known on Saturday, but
but right, right.
on Monday I don't know.
I hear
Um,
you.
and then Dale Hoteling, he was driving with the Brian Butler machine. So
Yeah, yep.
let's see here. Then when we got the Lad Road Auto Hobby Stocks. Uh, oh, what am I doing here? Well, Brandon Conklin started on the pole, and he'd
hmm
fin- he'd finish there. There was a caution on lap two, a caution on lap five, and then they went pretty much green. Um, Now I don't know what happened at the end here. Um, I heard that the Byler car got into Dylan Phillip. Did you see what happened there?
Well, I tell you this. I think exactly what happened was they were coming. So Dylan Phillips and Brandon Conklin were fighting for the lead, and they came up the front stretch, and they got to the Cody Byler car, and they split the car. Dylan went on the outside, and Brandon went on the inside, and I think it was the three of them, and it was a pretty tight right there. And I think Cody's a rookie in the class, and I think he tried to move up to get out of their way, and doing that had Dylan Phillips on his outside and kind of pushed him up right there. And yeah, he just after that, Dylan just couldn't recover from that.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I don't know why, but I missed that. So I
mhm,
wanted to see if you had seen what happened because I
yep,
just I remember everybody saying uh that Byler got into him, so I didn't
mhm,
exactly know what happened. So,
right,
but
right.
anyway, Brandon Conklin, so he picks up the win. Joe Birdsell second, third was Dylan Phillip, Greg Young fourth, and Brian Austin was fifth. Um,
How
good
about
run
this? It
for
was it was great to see Greg Young back for the
Yeah.
first time in a couple months. He had shoulder surgery,
Oh,
so
really?
he's been recovering from that, and I think this was his first night back in the car and finished fourth. That's pretty good. So,
Yeah, I think he picked up a feature on the last night last year.
oh right, yeah, I
Like
believe so. Yep,
in that race in October,
yep.
you know, the
I think you're
one
right.
with the Street Stock 100. So nice to have him back and Mike Carapella too. I know he was there last week, but we might as well mention him again.
Yeah, yep. And again,
Um,
they're still dialing that car in, so he's going to be just getting faster and faster every week
and
too. I'm
you
sure.
know what too? I'm interested to see what Brian Austin does because at the beginning of the year that car was really fast, and then he
Yep.
had a wicked rollover and it hurt the car a lot. And I think they're just trying to get that thing back to where it was, and I'm interested to see what happens once they can get that thing dialed back into where it was because that car was very fast and he just doesn't seem to quite have the speed he had at the beginning of the year.
Right. Yeah, I think they're still struggling just a little bit with it, getting it dialed in. But I got faith that they will. They'll get it dialed in, and he'll be right back to the front. It won't take too many weeks, I'm sure.
Right.
But I did want to talk a little bit about Reese Hackett. So Reese Hackett got in a terrible wreck at the end. Well, I guess in his heat, he blew the rear end out in the car. Let me see, the gears out, I believe, and they had to replace the rear end maybe or the gears. But anyway, he comes back out for the feature, and toward the end of the feature, there he got hit from behind. Cannon Palmer hit him, and he took such a hard shot from behind with that car that when the wrecker got there to lift the car up, the whole rear end fell right out of it. Like it broke off. It snapped off both shocks, snapped off both trailing arms. The only thing that was holding that rear end together was the drive shaft, and the only thing that was keeping it in place. And yeah, it was a nasty hit that he took. He's got a lot to work on this week on that car.
Yeah. Well, I imagine the Birdsville camp will be a little busy then.
Yeah, but yeah, they will because I believe that they hit so hard at Cannon it twisted the front end on his car, which both them cars come out of the same shop. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, they got their work cut out for them this week. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I know Mike and Cannon have their cars at their house, but I think when something like that happens, I'd have to imagine they're gonna go down to the boss, you know.
Yep, right. Yep, absolutely.
Uh,
Yep, for sure. It was great to see that Zachary Pipe back
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Um,
He kind of
yep,
seems to just kind of show up every here and then, never really has any rhyme or reason behind it. He just,
yep.
every once in a while he'll be there.
You're right. You're right. Yep, yep.
So then we can move on down to the Wicked T's Quad C. Blake, I mean Blake Snyder, he started on the pole. So he's been the guy to beat, fastest car all year, it seems like. Um, there was a caution on lap two, lap nine, lap 16, and lap 17, but nobody really had much for Snyder. Um,
No, it
Eric
looked like
Wise,
maybe it looked like maybe Wesley was for a while. Wesley got a brand new motor in his car, got it in there this week,
mhm.
and he came up through the pack. And I thought maybe he was going to have something for Blake, and he did catch him there for a little bit. But yeah, just then faded back to third at the end. But
Yeah, Eric Wise came in second, and picked on Wesley Hoteling too, who ended up finishing third, because I said, you know what, you're good friends with this Wise, and you get him to come down and race with you, and then I don't know if you saw it, but he hits him in the corner.
yeah,
Almost spun him around. I mean, I don't, not negatively to Eric or anything. I know he didn't do it intentionally, but
right,
that stuff happens. So I just had to pick on Wesley a little bit that you get him to come down there and then he almost takes you out.
yep,
So
yep.
like I said, Wesley finished third with that new power plant that he's got. Nate Freeland finished fourth, and that Kevin Bacon finished fifth. So good run there for Kevin. And I'm gonna, unless they just got a new number and changed the decal and everything on that car, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a new car for him because I've never seen a zero BS car.
Right. Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. I think it is
Um,
because I think I seen that he ran on Sunday and he had his other two cars at the other track on Sunday or to Bradford. So I
mm,
believe this is must be a third car out of their camp.
yeah, and I think it's a Cobalt too. So
You're right. Yep. Yep.
at least it looked like one to me. So.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yes.
Let me see here. I'm just kind of peeking through the Robert Haynes. He was back with us, every like same
Yep.
way before. Every once in a while he'll show up. And Travis Southard. Travis Southard, I believe, first start of 2025,
Yeah, it may be.
maybe.
It may be. Yep.
If it's not, it's pretty close.
Yep, absolutely. And then again, Kaylee Morseman, she couldn't drive her car because the motor blew up on it. So they had to bring a backup car out for her, and she struggled with it there, and it was too bad to see because she's been running so great with her car that I hopefully they can get their motor issues figured out with that thing and get her wheels back under her and continue on where she started the season off.
Yeah, right. That's the second week in a row for her, where she
Yeah,
didn't even get to drive her own car in the feature. Last
yep,
week it blew up in the Warriors, and this week it blew up in the Warriors, and
yep.
well, I don't know. Tough break for them. I mean, maybe they're just gonna tell Bella she's not gonna be able to run it anymore.
Right, I think so.
Um,
Yep. She must be bad luck for him.
I know. Uh, but so yeah, I think that was all brought to you by the Addison Eagles Club, New York State Stock Car Association. You got anything else on the evening?
I don't. I think it was a pretty good night of racing. It was pretty smooth, and there was some good racing. And like I said, the track was beautiful all night long. Um, like I said, there was a lot of tack left still, a lot of bite still left in that track at the end of the night. So that was great. That was
Yeah.
great.
So now I guess we can move on, look at some points.
Sure.
You got that pulled up, or do I gotta wait for you?
Well, I think you're gonna have to wait for me, but go ahead. You can start.
All right. So the Insinger Performance Modifieds, Carter Crooker currently your point leader. He has a 3 point lead over Dayton Brewer. Um, Aiden Grover sitting in third, just 4 points back after his feature win this Saturday. Brady Foltz only 6 points back in fourth, and Russell Morrisman 26 points back in fifth. So 6 points separate your top four. I
How exciting! How exciting is that? And
I
then you
don't.
look, the top three are all young guns, just starting out. And then you got last year's defending champion sitting in fourth, and you can't never count him out. This is going to be an exciting season for the modifieds from here to the end. It's definitely you're not going to want to miss these shows.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that they're all three guys that are pretty much gonna do whatever they can to win. So
Right,
we might see some late season fireworks by the end of it.
right, for sure. Yep,
Um, Hometown Excavation Crate Sportsman, Kenny Peoples Jr. He's got a 22 point lead over Tim Guild. Uh, Quentin Buchanan's in third, 56 points back. Brandon Morseman is in fourth, 57 points back. And Glenn Trowbridge is rounds out your top five, 70 points back. Um, like, I mean, those top two just seem to be tough to beat. I will say that I think Quentin's time's coming. I think that he's another one. We said it about Aiden and it came true. I think Quentin Buchanan will find victory lane by the end of the year.
yep,
Um, and, but and I'll say too for him, it's he's got a lot going on. That's a tough commitment. I know he's racing 2 nights a week. He's got one car, so Friday nights he's got to switch everything over from Outlaw to Woodhall and get that already. I went over and talked to them this morning, and they still had mud on their car from Saturday or from
oh,
Friday night, and I picked on them and I said, "You guys couldn't even wash your cars."
right,
And he said, "Man, I still got to change gears and shot. I gotta change everything." And I said, "Well, don't let me hold you up then." So.
right. Yeah, I mean, it was great. Tim Guild, he closed up the points a little bit on Kenny. That helped him. So that could be a battle by the end of the year. And then you look, and Quentin Buchanan and Brandon Morseman, 1 point separates them. So that's going to be a battle between them. That's for sure.
Right. And I do want to mention too that Tim Guild did sweep the night. That's a pretty I don't know how many times people have won the heat race, the King of the Ring, and the feature in the same night. Um I wish I could kind of keep track of that. I meant to bring mention that during the feature recap, but I forgot. I wish I could find a way to look all that up, but
Right, right.
besides going back through every year, every week, I don't know if that's possible, which maybe someday I'll do that, but
Yep.
just to see how
Hmm.
many times that has happened. But so
Right.
that's a pretty,
I know it happened here recently, and I can't remember. I can't remember if it happened this year with the late models. Did LeBaron, did he maybe sweep it, or was it, or else it was one
no, because
last?
Bryce won. Bryce
Oh,
Davis
okay.
won.
Yep. Okay. So It might have been last year. Then at the end of last year, one of the King of the Rings last year. Then somebody swept it. So yeah, it doesn't happen very often. That's for sure.
Right.
But it just goes to show when your car's on for the night and you get the track figured out, you can really put it together. So
Definitely. So then we'll move down to the Southern Tier Customs Rush Crate late models. Brett Marlatt, your current point leader. He's your defending champion. Steve LeBaron in second, 22 points back. Marshall O'Brien is in third, 44 points back. Ricky Laux in fourth is 54 points back. And Joe Layfield, 60 points back. Was Joe Layfield there this weekend?
yes, he was.
He
Yep, he
was?
finished.
Okay.
Yep, he finished a little bit farther back this week.
What about Rich McNeil? Was he there?
No, I don't believe Rich was.
Okay. Well, so there's your, I mean, Brett's just been between him and Steve. I've said it. It just seems like whoever gets out front first. I
Yep.
I mean, those two are very fast. And this week, I don't even know if it mattered where Brett started because that 29 was an absolute rocket ship.
It
I know,
was.
I know you said you didn't watch the feature, but that thing was just hooked right up.
Hmm.
So then we can move down to the Joe Wilcox Performance Automatic Street Stocks, and well, we have a new leader in the clubhouse here. Dan Gardner.
Yep.
Boy, he might have taken over that top spot last week. Yeah, I think
I
he did. Okay, so I think I'm
think.
wrong. No, Teddy, no, new leader in the clubhouse because Teddy won the feature and he took it back. So now Dan Gardner's taking it back over him. So
Ah, okay.
Dan Gardner, your uh, current point leader. Teddy Morseman's second, just 2 points back. Clayton McLean's third, 19 points back. Bradley Morseman is fourth, 29 points back. And Dale Hoteling is 30 points back in fifth. Really tightening up there for the street stocks. Dan Gardner. Has he won a track championship? You would know more than me.
Dan Gardner? Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I
Um,
think he did just a couple years ago. I think it was the last year he raced and he took a year off, I think.
okay.
I
Uh,
believe.
and then Teddy Morseman, that would be your 2023 track champion.
Yep. Yep. All right. So he might have been 22. Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. I mean,
Okay.
but look at Clayton McLean. There's a guy that looks, I kind of look at him as he's struggled all season so far this year, but there he sits, third to points, 19 out of first. He hasn't had a win yet this year, but he's had six top fives and he's been finishing the top 10 every week. And I guess that's what's keeping him there. So he's been consistent, although he hasn't been winning. He hasn't won a race yet in 2025, but he has been consistent. So I guess
Right.
that's what gets you to the front sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I guess Dale Hoteling, the current leader in the clubhouse there for the Rookie of the Year contention. I kind of forgot to mention that through the other ones. Um, well, we can do that next week, I guess. Well, I
Hmm.
guess the only one that we haven't got to was the late model. So right now, Wyatt White and Marcus Kerr are kind of battling for that.
All right.
Nobody eligible in the modifieds, nobody eligible in the sportsmen. So
Right.
um, yeah. So I guess we could just do that. So um, Drew
Actually, I
Reitman.
think we do have one in the. Wait a second. I think we actually do have one. I think Colin Wyatt is actually a rookie, isn't he?
Well, I'm looking here, and Colton Coots probably is too.
Yes. And then this is my fault because I've been working on updating these and
Hmm.
I got to do the crate sportsman yet, and I got to do the street stocks yet.
Now I don't. I'll have to go
Scott,
back and look. I'm not sure if Braden Buchanan is. I think Braden Buchanan ran a good chunk
yeah,
of races last year.
yeah, I think so. But Scott McRae is also a rookie.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
So
So right now, I'd say Colton Coots, leader in the clubhouse. There, I'm not exactly sure how many. I think he's been to enough races to be eligible.
I think so.
I'm just gonna say he has been just for fun.
Right.
Um, so then we can go to the Lad Road Auto Hobby Stocks. Brandon Conklin is your point leader, 14 points over Dylan Phillip, currently in second. Third is Scott Brown, 38 points back. Joe Birdsell in fourth, 53 points back. Reese Hackett, Rookie of the Year contender, in fifth, 79 points back. Um, I mean, I don't know. Brandon Conklin just Dylan Phillip is trying just about as hard as he can to keep this thing close, and it just seems like if Dylan Phillip doesn't win, it's Brandon Conklin, and that, tough to make up ground when that's the way it goes.
It is. And again, I say it every week. There's five cars there, six cars in that class that could win on any given week, but yet it seems to be the last couple of weeks just the same too, finishing first and second. So,
Yeah.
Scott Brown has looked awesome. He's just had a little bit of bad luck. If he could just, get a little luck to go on his way one night, I think we'll see him in victory lane before the season's over. And again, Joe Birdsell, he started the year out tough. He's been putting some good laps together lately, but he's got a ways to go to catch up. So,
Yeah, definitely. I'm going back through because I think I don't know how Scott Brown hasn't won a race.
right.
I really don't. And it's I mean, I'm at 2023 right now, so I don't know if he has. And if he
Mm.
has, it's at least been 3 or 4 years. And the consistency out of the 87 car, I just don't know how that's possible. It almost seems like it's impossible that he just hasn't won a race with the speed that he's got. But
I yeah, I guess we'd have to check on that because honestly, I think he won a couple races last year.
mm-mm,
He didn't?
nope. I'm
Oh,
looking at
'cause
him right here.
okay. Huh.
I could tell you everybody who's won in
Right.
2024.
No kidding.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Because where did he finish in points last year? He finished right up there in points.
Oh, I don't know that. I just have a
Hmm.
different. I have a thing that just lists all the winners and
Right.
how many races they've won, and I can tell you he hasn't won since at least 2022.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Because
Yeah, that's
the only reason because that's the year that I started, so I wouldn't have anything from before that.
right, right. Oh, okay.
So and I every year he seems to be right up there and hasn't found victory lane yet, and I always find it so hard to believe that he never does by the end of the year, but
Right. Yeah.
no. So now we can move down to the Wicked Tees Quad C. Blake Snyder is going to extend that lead over Nate Freeland. That's up to 37 points. Wesley Hoteling is in third, 40 points back. Joe Gillespie in fourth, 71 points back. And Danielle Morseman in fifth is 77 points back. So that's your top five there. Um, I mean that 18 card just seems to be, you know,
Yes.
I'm kind of running out of things to say about it. It's just been so fast all year. It seems like he unloaded at the beginning of the year, and that thing just was the fastest car on the racetrack, and it just seems to be that way every week. Nate Freeland's done a great job a couple of weeks being able to hold him off, but
Yep.
he'd probably well, he could have another feature win. He was battling with Chris Woodard, and he got tangled up with a lap car, so you never know. Things break the right way. That might be another feature win for him.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Yep.
um, and then I guess we got. So is Kaylee Morseman not a Rookie of the Year contender?
She is.
Okay.
She is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she doesn't have the little R there, but
Okay. I
I'm
guess
I'm,
I
I'm
got
well, I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I've got to imagine she is. I think she ran Warriors last year.
Yeah, she did. So I'm not 100% sure because on my race pass, it doesn't show any of the rookies. So I don't know if I'm doing
Right.
something a little different. I don't,
Well,
I don't know.
and I know she ran the Warriors the Quad C at the end of the year, but that shouldn't take away her eligibility because she only ran
Right.
that one weekend when after the points were wrapped up, and
Yep.
so she ended up running that with the adults, and that wouldn't take her out of Rookie of the Year. So right now she's sitting the leader in the clubhouse there for the Rookie of the Year, and she's got about I mean, what's that, a 30-point lead over Jesse Smith. So, um,
Right. Yes. And you're allowed to run four races and
right.
not be considered a rookie. So after your fourth race, then you become a rookie in that class. So
Right. And she only ran one, she ran the
you're
Warriors
right.
and then she ran that race in October with the adults and got a top five. So I
Right.
know,
Right.
yeah, she's definitely a rookie. So right now
Yeah.
she's the leader in the clubhouse there. So anything you got for the points, or do you think we wrapped
I
that up
don't.
pretty good?
Yeah, I think we covered that pretty good. Yeah, I don't think there's any more left for that.
Um, we got the IMCA still, but they'll be here this weekend. We'll get to that, so we'll touch on that a little bit
Right.
coming up, or we'll touch
Yep.
on those points next weekend for the recap show. There's really nothing's changed if you listen to it every week, so there's no sense in doing that every week. But
Right. Right.
so I guess
Yep.
we can you got a schedule there. We can start to kind of look ahead.
I do actually. I do have one here. Next week is going to be our ESS Sprint Tours coming to town. So
Yeah.
these are the 360 sprints. These are the big guys. They always put on a great show when they come to Woodall.
That
And then also with
only
that, oh,
only
go ahead.
chance to see 360 sprint cars at Woodhull this year.
Yes, that's
So,
correct.
and
Yep,
and, and Jared Zimbardi picked up the win last year. So that's your only chance to see him if you like the big sprint cars and you live in New York. I know they don't come around um, quite as much as they do to some of our neighbors to the south there in Pennsylvania. But if you
yep,
like sprint cars and you live in New York, make sure you make it over to Woodhull this weekend because they'll be there, and that's your
that's
only
right.
chance to see them. So.
Yep. And we have the Sean Lyas Memorial Race for the IMCA's. That'll be an interesting race. That should be an awesome turnout for that.
Yep.
Um,
And
and
that's a
I
series race too. That's not just our weekly points. That's the NY Penn IMCA modified series. So, um, I
yes,
Earl Zimmer will be back. I'm trying to think of who runs that hasn't been to Woodhull. I can't say enough good things about the IMCA only because it seems like that they all come to Woodhull.
yep,
So
yep. Jake Maynard should be back racing for this one. I don't think he's made an appearance at Woodhall in 2025 yet.
I don't
So
know if he's racing the tour. I think he only races at the hill.
okay, that could be
I could be wrong, but I think he only races at the hill, and I think he wears the promoter's cap for the tour race, and the only time he
right.
races is at the hill. So
Okay, that
um,
could be. I know. I've talked to them a little bit, and I think they're going to have a dash for cash on Saturday night for them guys, also. I believe.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
And they're still looking for a little bit of sponsorship. So if you listen to this and you want to be a part of that, they'll be happy to take your money. If you need to, you can get in contact with me or Terry. We can get you in contact with Jake Maynard if we need to,
Yep.
and
For sure.
let's Sean Lyas. I a little bit before my time, but big name around Woodhull. So if you want to help out in that memorial race, then get a hold of somebody. We'll make sure that it happens. I am looking at it right now, and I do want to give a shout out to Rich Howard Jr. of Chasing Dreams Transport LLC and Jonathan Lubick of Lubick Sales and Marketing, as they put up some extra money for the Sean Lyas Memorial. And also, I do want to give a shout out to Murphy's Pizza in Gailton, Pennsylvania, as they're going to sponsor the Dash for Cash for the IMCA's this weekend. So,
Right. Yep. That's correct.
uh, and then other Crate Sportsman, you're off. So, Kenny Peoples, you're going to have a week to redeem yourself.
Yes, that's correct. We got to make sure we do get that out there for them
I
too.
will. I meant to put it out there and I forgot. So I'll put it out there right when we're done here. Um, and then August 2nd, that is the Bradley Supply Leland F. Harris King of the Bull Ring for the modifieds. That's $800 to the winner. Um, and that's I'm hoping to see a few extra guys. That's a nice little tune-up race because then that following Wednesday, we've got the big one. That is 5,500 to win for the Insinger Performance Modifieds, 2,000 to win for the Crate Sportsman, and 500 to win for the 600cc Modifieds. Brought to you by BH Log Hauling and Pepsi. I also want to give a shout out. I'm not exactly sure of the business on there yet. Nobody's answered me on that part, but one of the Trappler Industries, they're going to be giving away $100 to heat race winners for the modifieds. So
Oh, okay.
so
Great.
I did see and Kim and Brad are working on getting some other stuff for them done. So good deal
Right.
there. You win a heat race that night for the modified, you'll walk away with $100. So
Right. Okay. And I did have one other thing, Joe, I wanted to add, and I might have missed this earlier. When we were talking about the sprint car races, that's sponsored by McCourt's Auto. We're finishing. We were actually pulling Wicked Tees off that night. In my meeting late this afternoon, Wicked Tees has got a commitment came up, and then they can't make it, so we're going to pull them off the schedule for that night, and we're in the process right now of rescheduling them for another night.
okay.
So
Well, hey, if you're a business, you're free this Saturday night. You want to watch some sprint cars? Get a hold of us.
there you go. Absolutely, we do have room. We have room for another sponsor. So
We'll throw that out there. I'm not afraid.
yep.
Um, yeah,
It's
that
always a great show, that's for sure.
absolutely. And then August 9th, you got the CRSA sprint cars are in the house again, and no modifieds that night. They're running Saturday. Then Wednesday, we're gonna give them that Saturday off. That's a
Yep.
lot for them guys, and a lot of them go other places, have other cars, and that's a lot. So We're gonna give
Yep.
them the night off that night. Anything?
I
Anything
think
else
no, I
there?
don't think so. I think that's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah,
that'll probably do it.
that takes us through the majority of or at least for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll get on here next week, and then we'll tell you the same stuff, and then we'll add a week. So,
Right, right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I want to talk again about the Joe Wilcox, the Woodhall 100. They're still taking sponsors for that, and I'll tell you, it's building and building every week. And I will say this week right here. So it's mostly businesses that have been stepping up and they've been paying the money and getting their yard sign down. This week we actually had a race team step up and put some money up. So I want to say thanks to Brett Merlot, their race team. They put it up and they actually bought a sponsorship for it and bought a sign today. So it's great to see them come on board, and we'll see if any other race teams can do it.
now,
So
if you're Brett Marlatt and you sponsor the Woodhull 100, could you run your late model with the street stocks?
well, I don't think we can only because I think they run Hoosiers and we can't
Oh,
our street
oh,
stock. So I think that I think that would make him illegal. So
mm.
other than that, I yeah,
Well, you hear that, Brett? Buy some American racers, put them on there, and we're gonna be legal.
there we go.
And before, you know what? I'm just kidding for all you street stock guys.
That's right. Yes.
Before anybody comes after me, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, they're doing a great job, Joe Wilcox. He just I'm blown away by the amount of sponsorship that he's already got for a September show. So uh
Yeah.
good for him. And if you want to be involved, reach out to him or reach out to us. We can get you in touch with him, and uh, I guess we could go from there.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely can.
You got anything to add, Terry? Or are you ready to get out of here so we can have some dinner?
You're right. I think you're right. I think I'm ready. Yeah. I think it's about time for supper for me. So,
Yeah. I think my daughter's downstairs eating some spaghetti right now as I talk to you.
oh, there you go. Well, actually, I'm getting dinner. My daughter is making dinner for me tonight. So I guess I don't even have to cook tonight. So that's
Oh, there
always
you
great.
go. Do you have to go over there, or is she coming to you?
No, she's coming here. She's
Oh,
already here, actually. So,
look
yep,
at
I
that.
don't
You
even
don't
have
got
to
to
leave
do
the
nothing.
house.
All right.
That's
Well,
right. Yep.
once again, I do want to thank everybody, or thank the Addison Eagles Club, the New York State Stock Car Association, as they were this past weekend's presenting sponsors. I want to thank everybody for listening. Remind everybody that listen to the audio version on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. To like, review, download it. That helps a lot. And then on YouTube page as well, like and subscribe on that. Woodhall Raceway on Facebook and Woodhall Raceway 64 on TikTok. Um, the interview pictures are a little late. I'm still waiting for the pictures to be uploaded so I can get the TikTok out for this past weekend. So,
Uh-oh,
uh,
that would be on me. I have all those. I just got to get them uploaded. So,
no, I didn't even mean that as a shot, really.
sure you
Um,
didn't, Joe. Sure you didn't.
all right, Terry. Well, hey, I appreciate you making time here on a Monday evening, and you have yourself a good rest of your evening. Enjoy your
Absolutely.
dinner.
You do the same, Joe. It's great to hear from you.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Yep. Bye.